Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Boys Season 3 reviews. I am just Travis Beast. Now I thought about I have no nickname. There's lots to pick from, but nothing that is non-spoilerish, So yeah, this is episode 4 of The Boys. As I said last week, I am alone. Here I am, standing solo by this mic. Next week for sure, Taylor will be joining, and then maybe Jessica as well. So we get to hear some of their opinions on the season. What's going on right now, where they thought some of the characters are, and then obviously what happens in episode 5, because I'm sure some crazy shit's gonna happen, as always it does with the boys. So as we've talked about before, busy week. I guess I feel like coming near the end of it, but still not really, because we still got like Jurassic World review happening. We still got Xbox Game Conference. We got the Strikers Cup. We got the team titles match. So lots of stuff. Check it out on our Twitter and Facebook. That's where we'll promote everything, so you don't want to miss it. You got separate feeds, podcast network, the whole shebang, right? Everything down below is where you can find everything we do here on the interwebs. And most importantly, head over to Patreon, because you get episodes like this ad-free and early. There's also 3 exclusive shows on the different tiers. When After 9 comes back, that's the call-in show. And as we've said before, how we can do weeks like this, do extra content. You guys literally pay for our time. We always have said we usually do like the review one newscast, stuff like side quests, retrospective, all that extra stuff. You guys fund that. So the more support we get, the more content we can do. And luckily, we got some great fans. Some fans as well. I don't know. I was gonna say I'd say some big fans, but thank you to our Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Carl Ritchie, and Smalley Biggs. Everybody helps out who listens. Everyone helps us on the Patreon, but you guys are on the Patreon producer tier, and I did it again. Producer tier. I'm trying to combine the word producer and tier. Why? I don't know, but it just happened. But we thank you greatly, and we really appreciate each and every one of you. Let's get into this. I'm not gonna talk too much non-spoilers, because I feel like if you're listening to this, you've seen it and stuff like that. Just another good episode. It's one of these that I try not to. We always say this, and I feel like we try not to, but it happens, right? Try not to bring down one thing to raise another. But I feel like, man, watching this, and it's just because they're a similar genre, but watching this, it just sometimes feels like the Disney Plus superhero stuff. They're in a containment, and they got a box, and there's only certain things they can do. But they just got nothing on some of this boys stuff, And I'm not talking about the sex, drugs, violence. That's not it. I don't care about that stuff. That stuff's all great and fun, and we have a good laugh. And like last week, you see a man crawl into another man's penis. Yes, of course, memorable stuff. But if it was just that stuff, that's not what would make me like the show. It's the character dynamics. It's the shades of gray. It's that each week, this is a full hour-long episode and feels like that. There's multiple times where it feels like it's going to end like, oh, there's more in a good way. Just multiple great storylines going on. There's multiple characters being fleshed out. Is it a perfect show? No, but it's just on such a higher level than most of the superhero stuff we're getting right now. It felt very much like, obviously we've had this a few years now, but it felt the same thing when we got Watchmen a few years ago, when it was like, man, this is just operating a whole different level. Daredevil, I think, at times as well. So yeah, it's just another great episode. I think it's just putting our heroes in a worse situation, in a more dire situation. And I'm interested to go see where the stopping point is, or how far we can go till we have to break glass in case of emergency, right? So I did really enjoy it. I was gripped majority the whole time. I like that. I think it's 8 episodes. I think it is. Maybe I'll take a look here, because that'll, I try not to look up information when it's happening. But let's see, The Boys season 3. But the reason I'm questioning that is because we're in already episode 4. Let's see. Is there only 6? No. I sure hope not. I'm going to pull this up, but let's see, episode 3. Yeah, 8. Okay. Silly Google. IMDb. Good thing. So we're halfway through the season, and it does feel like that. And that's where I always like that, again, talking about some of those Disney Plus shows where you go, and even not Disney Plus, I've had that with Dexter this year. There's been other shows where it's just like the ending you just have to race towards, because, we left so many things to do. This last hour is going to try to cover it all. Where, excuse me, I don't feel like that, because I feel like we got new stuff developing as well, but it feels like, okay, we got a few more things to unravel, but we still got 4 episodes, and we got 4 episodes of like full hour long, pretty much content, right? So That's where I feel like it gets to take the time, but it's also taking the time to spend with each character. That's not going to feel too rushed. Yeah, there's things I'm questioning as far as I thought I was going to go one route. There's two things in particular. I think I talked about one hero last week. You know what I'm talking about, completely wrong. And then another that I, not completely wrong, but I'm just like, okay, what are we doing here? So, and all good stuff. What are we doing here? So I will take a break and then we're going to get into spoilers. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So yeah, so if you've not seen the episode, get out here. Because I know it dropped later on Amazon for some people. It's weird. It was all over the map. They were having problems, everything. So The Boys, episode 4, season 3. So oh my goodness, frog in the throat. That's always the best when it happens when you're on a solo cast. Like, hey, you take over. No, no, no. But we're gonna ride through. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Clear the throat. Let's do this. Um, let's start with Homelander. But it always goes back to Homelander for me because, as I said, one of the most interesting characters in all of media currently and probably of all time. I've not read the comics, so I'm not sure how it compares that, but I feel like it's a little similar. And I probably will read the comic once the show's done. I just don't want it to be spoiled, and I'd love to see the different versions of how it goes. So last week we talked about how, okay, he finally is feeling in control. He was downtrodden, he was put in a box, but now he found a way to get out of that box. And now it's like, let's say that box was in a building, so it's like, okay, Homelander got out of the box, but this building still contains him. Let's say he's like a rat and he's an experiment, which he pretty much is. He's found a way to get out of the building and be even more powerful, because what we see is that he takes out, I'm sorry, I always forget these people's names, but the guy, Giancarlo Esposito, he's the leader of Vought, right? He finds a way to get rid of him because he leaks all this information to his like adopted daughter. And again, I also forgot her name too. I'm terrible, terrible. I'm not gonna look it up, but she's running the bureau, right? And I gotta look up because I quite like the actress. I think she's doing a good job, because sometimes that character that could be added on, that's kind of, oh, they're an underling to the villain, we don't know much about them, can be boring and you not much, doesn't matter. Maybe it's just her acting, because I think they've given her enough. I liked this idea of John Carlos kind of proud of her because he's always taught her to look up for yourself before others, and this is what she did here, right? Because pretty much it's looking like that. At first, it was like Homelander is going to maybe kill her and her daughter Zoe. I remember Zoe, if she doesn't comply. It might be a little bit of that. It looks like, I could be wrong, but I feel like he was giving her some of the chemicals to make her daughter like a superpower or superhuman and whatnot, because she gives her the shot and she's in lots of pain. So that's what I took it as. I think that's what's happening. So it makes sense of, okay, this is why she had to work with Homelander. It wasn't just for the sake of to be evil or for a plot twist, because when it first happened, the whole setup is John Carter's like, okay, last week he did this big speech. We kind of got to give him a slap on the wrist. You're going to do that. You're going to fight with the FCC and say some other bad things about him, right? When she gets up there, she goes, oh, I got something to say about Homelander. That's completely right. And I have proof and da da da. So the turn happens. I just like, okay, is she just going to be like mustache twirly? When they leave, she has a conversation. She's crying. She has this conversation with Homelander that, again, it doesn't show that it was just for more power, might technically with the superhero stuff, but it just felt like there was more driven behind it. And I like that. So I like the character. I'm interested to see where it goes. I do think she's going to have to. Oh, and look at that. Got a notification. The Boys has been renewed for season 4. Absolutely fucking delicious, diabolical. But like, I'm not surprised. People are loving it, but great. Go as long as the story needs. I'm not sure. Obviously, I imagine, again, don't let me know. In the comics, I imagine killing Homelander is probably the end game. Maybe it's not, but I feel like for the show, that'd be a good point, because it would almost feel like there's some shows where a main hero, like this happens with me with the Runaways, where like the main villain died and then they bring in someone new and it just didn't feel the same. Maybe the comic books are different and there could be someone else. And I know people have almost said that happens with Invincible, but I'm waiting. That's only one season deep. But I just feel like once you kill Homelander or defeat him or whatnot, after that, it's just that's kind of the pinnacle. That should be it. And maybe like I said, maybe there's storylines that make it just as great. So I'm willing to see. I just, that trope has happened before. So anyways, back to what's going on here at the bureau. So Homelander's just getting more and more power. He's ousted Giancarlo, and it's great because he says, you think this was bad. Just wait and see while I'm gone. Because he's pretty much just saying, like, I protected you. And I think what's going to happen is he is protecting himself, Homelander. We'll get to that. But he is just saying that the Homelander situations maybe were bad, but without him, might be a lot worse, because he was always not really interested in protecting Homelander, but just protecting the brand, the people, his business. So, and I think that's right. Everything is going to shit right now. Both teams are fighting. They're falling apart. They're losing ways to win because you look at, you know, the seven. Some of them were going to take out Homelander. We'll get into that. That's not going to go to plan because now he knows about it. The boys were going to take out Homelander with this weapon. Now, Soldier Boy could be the weapon, but still, in their mind, they kind of thought, oh, this was a smoking gun. No, we found Soldier Boy, and he maybe killed one of our people. So all the teams are floundering. They're all going to shit. They're all having infighting. So both teams are struggling right now. And the seven, yeah, sure, under the iron thumb of, Homelander, they're gonna he's gonna keep that going for a little bit, but something will happen, and I don't know what that's gonna be, but it's going to I like I said, I don't know, but it will come. My only question is, I keep saying, is it gonna happen this season or not? Is the big split of Homelander's mind or breaking point gonna happen where he finally becomes like villain mode at the end here, or is that still safe for next season or another season? We'll find out. They're really playing up which is fine because this show is political, and I don't care if you don't think it is. And they have the guys talking about like, oh, the left wing media and all this sort of stuff. And I know people are gonna be like, yeah, like they had that last week where a guy sat up in his chair like, oh, he's speaking the truth. Now, Homelander is echoing a lot of things, but it's kind of like, and again, if you disagree, then that's up to you. But last year, he echoed a lot of like mega, make America great things, right? And Donald Trump. And now this year, I feel like he's doing that a lot with the Fox News and very right wing people that are just kind of hurting society. If you listen to Homelander and you're agreeing with anything he's saying, there's a reason they got the villain of the story saying that. And that's all I'll say. It's pretty easy. It's pretty simple to see that there's multiple people saying these type of same things, especially right now in any controversy, especially you'd say about the gun shootings right now, of like people trying to deter and talk about how media would spin things and this and that. Again, look at who's saying it. It's the villain of the story, and that's kind of what's happening in real life, because people really still aren't doing shit. And go up there and vote, ladies and gentlemen, because come on. But you have him doing that. I forgot to mention, because I saw the notification of the boys being renewed. I think the bureau agent will eventually have to, because I was wondering, is she going to join up with him when he was in the house? And I think that she will eventually help. Huey and her will talk, and I think there's going to be where they figure out that they're both bullshitting one another now, and there's going to be the boys, her, Huey, Starlight, and then some of the seven members are going to have to come together to take this guy out, and that's what I think is going to happen. The enemy of the enemy is my friend. So you have that going on. Back to Homelander, yeah. So he got rid of Giancarlo Esposito. He even said that, oh, we were always the brand. We were always the people. It should be a superhero business, not the money business, or whatever he says. But so he's in charge, and it's not going to go good. Let's start with Starlight right now. So this is where I was completely wrong with was it Sonic? Oh, I thought we hardly knew ye, Sonic Screamer or whatever it was, but her old flame that we talked about last week, and I was like, which way is this going to go? Is this going to go the route of him helping, or is this going to go the way of him kind of selling them out and being with Homelander? No, it went a way that I did not think was going to happen at all. We get this great scene where they put on music, and she's telling him, like, this is the plan. I got Maeve, I got me. We're going to need you and maybe 4 to 5 other heroes, but we can take them out. He's on board, and I liked what they did here, because he did the whole like, I'm in love with you, and she's like, oh no, and he's like, I'm just fucking with you, like I'm just having fun with you, like no, I'm gonna protect you. And I like now, because the character did die, that was genuine, because when he did that, I thought, nah, I think he's still lying. I think he just like he read the situation and was like, no, she doesn't feel the same way. I'll pivot, but maybe I'll get her back. But what I like is everything we saw about him, he was a good guy. He was just her friend. He wasn't shitty. He wasn't gonna like kind of break up Hugh. He wasn't gonna turn on her. I like that, and now it makes it sad because I doubted him last week, and he's already gone. Because we had this moment where Homelight, yeah, that's what I think, yeah, that's the ship name, and we see more of this where they're getting ingratiated in the media, and his points are going up and all this stuff, and we get this very awkward, terrible scene of Homelander, and this is where. So I always like Homelander, the character, right? But I feel like there's moments where even at his most despicable, they try and make him sympathetic. And you go, okay, he's experimented on, he's been lied to his whole life, all these things. And you can see why he's this way. Now, he was gone a long time ago. But we always talk about like with the movie Joker, right? Where there's a point where Arthur is close to being gone and then he's gone. Homelander is around the fucking world gone. There's nothing sympathetic about him at all anymore. And this is where he has a scene with Huey and Amy. I think that's her name, Amy. I'm terrible. I'm terrible for forgetting all these character names. But Starlight. I remember the hero names. So Amy and Starlight. Where he's just like, oh, she's so cute when she sleeps, and he's kind of looking at it, oh, I'm just fucking with you guys, I'm just joking. And then he's just talking about, like, he gets in his face and he's like, oh yeah, but me and Mav, we started just for the show, but then I got better. And he's like, yeah, and she can bend steel, but not with her hands, like, just pretty much insinuating she's giving a good blow job and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, so what's Starlight like in bed? And it's very awkward pause, and he like steps up a little closer, and Starlight threatens him. And of course he just goes, oh, like, just kidding. He's just like gaslighting everybody. He's like, oh, just kidding. He signs Hugh's cast. He's like, you guys need to lighten up. So he's bullying people to the nth degree. And I'm gonna get to the very last part and bring it back to Sonic Screamer or whatever the hell his name was, because again, hardly knew you. Later on, we get this moment of the Seven where A-Train brings up these racial crimes or racial maybe profiling happening by the Blue Hawk, the superhero. That woman that is married to the Deep is just his mind and says, like, texts him, mention that it's going to hurt your points. The Deep brings up, like, hey, a lot of the people that Blue Hawk shares, you share. So pretty much just like probably right-wing white extremist assholes, right? So that's where it's like, okay. He's like, no, we can't do anything. Sorry, that's going to hurt my points. And then meeting's over. He's really mad. Deep and A-Train, which we'll get into more again, to fight. Homelander breaks up. He helps Deep up, doesn't help A-Train up, because he's just treating him like shit. And then we got the John Claro stuff. And then kind of the cherry on top is he goes to him and Lori. Is it Lori? Oh my God. It maybe is Lori. Now I'm going to have to look it up because I'm terrible. But him and Starlight, they're at some sort of event or whatnot. Oh, I got it coming up here. Watch. It's just going to list her as Starlight, I imagine. Annie. How did I get that wrong? They're at some sort of event. And he's like, you want to fly out of here? And she's like, oh, no, not really. He's like, oh, no, I want to show you something. And the thing is, you can't really say no to him right now, right? And she's playing ball. And that's what she said at the beginning of the episode when he was like, how did you let this happen, like this relationship? And she's like you said, I don't like it, but we got to go with it just to beat him. Flies her up to a rooftop, puts her down, and the former boyfriend, the friend, Sonic Screamer, whatever his name was, he's there, ripped apart. Homelander fucked him up, and we're ripped apart, aka dead. His face is gone, his legs are gone. Like, he just demolished this guy. And we'll get into it, but he says that A-Train told him what the plan was, and this is just an example of what he could do. So if you step out of line again, this is Huey. And he makes her repeat, like, this will be Huey, and she does. And it's just awful. And even when he leaves, he's like, you can fucking walk or find your own way home. Like, she can't fly, so she's just on this building. Like, just awful, So this is where, again, not that he was, I think even last season he kind of lost most of the sympathetic, but you could find a way to be like, oh, this is why. You got flashbacks or showing of him as a kid. Like, this is why he is the way he is. But now he's gone because he had no power. He was so power hungry. He's just absorbing it right now. And yeah, this is where I've always been interested in the character, but man, I'm so ready for them to fuck him up. I cannot wait till Homelander just gets destroyed by whoever it is. I can't fucking wait. Like, he's getting every bad thing that he's doing this season needs to go. And I am very worried. I hope it doesn't go this route, but with him saying, like, and he has to do whatever he says, I am worried that there could be a sexual assault angle again, because that's what the Deep did. And it's a weird thing to say. Like, I'm not opposed to it, but I think you need to use it sparingly and right. You don't just want characters to be just getting sexual assault as like a plot point, right? It's just like a side thing. You need to make it really mean something, because I do think that happened with the Deep, but it did mean something throughout the show. It's come up multiple times. It kind of started the point of her realizing this is not what it thought it was. That was a storyline last week as far as bringing back on the team. So it has to be something like that. I hope it's just not for the sake of, that Kick-Ass Comics did that a little bit, where certain characters be getting sexually assaulted just for almost shock value and stuff like that, which the boys can be shock value, but I think there's other ways to do it, like the guy climbing the penis. That's the better way as far as last week. But yeah, it's not looking good for the crew right now because, like I said, that weapon might not be there. We're not sure Soldier Boy's going to be able to help them. They found Soldier Boy. And they even Butcher's like, hey, something else is different with them. They've been experimenting on them. But let me shelf that for a second. We'll come back to Soldier Boy and the boys, because I want to wrap up the Homelander stuff. I've wrapped up the Homelander stuff, but what I want to talk about is this is where I'm confused where we're going, but I'm ready for I'm ready to win me over. I'm ready to see what the journey is, but with A-Train. So this whole episode he wants to, last week he chose to do the racial injustice thing as just like a gimmick, right? But he has this conversation with his brother. It's like, no, actually do it. Like you could make a fucking difference, not just like using it to sell a brand. We get this great commercial of, because he's going to film a commercial. So while that's happening, there's like a riot going on, or like a parade walk or something. Not a parade, what would it be? A rally, a protest. There you go, Travis, a protest. And he sees, he's like, what's going on there? And he has to go watch it. Then it's revealed that's actually the commercial, that he was filming a commercial and this protest distracts him. It's about racial injustice, and they're have signs and everything about it. But then he pulls out a drink, and it's like to say that this drink, this turbo whatever juice, is like will bring white, black, and every color of people known together. And again, really bad. But he brings it up later on in the 7th. So you go, okay, this is actually something he might be wanting to happen. Okay. And then later on, that gets shot down. Him and the Deep get in a fight. They're arguing again. This is where the teams are falling apart. He gill punches at Deep. It's great. Multiple jokes about how his legs aren't going to work and everything like that. So after this, Sonic Screamer, that guy, I hope that's his name, Annie's ex, says, hey, we got a few people, we can take out Homelander, let's do this. And then later on, there's a fight. There's like when Homelander's kind of doing a speech about like how we're the heroes, and how pretty much just saying, get in line, I'm the fucking leader now. Annie's ex looks at him, and A-Train's like, yeah, shakes his head. So this whole episode is kind of doing, like I've said before, where A-Train has done things. They even talk about this episode, where A-Train and the Deep have done things to go against Homelander, but they've not made the full good guy turn, right? They're bad people who have done a few good things. And just for like, I don't know, selfish reasons, selfish gains, not because to be good. So I thought we were getting that with A-Train. We talked about last week where, okay, is this going to be the start of the turn? Is he finally going to become a good guy here, or just to like try to do better things? There's a lot he has to redeem for. I still like he's not fully redeemed for what he did to Huey's girlfriend and stuff. There's still, to me, has to be a moment if he ever turns good of him coming to him, just like, I fucking, I think we've gotten versions of that, but like I feel like he still is very arrogant around Huey, and I feel like when you're at a press conference or like a what is the red carpet, he's like, oh man, we've sure come a long way. You don't say that to a guy you fucking ran over his girlfriend. Like, there needs to be more of a come to Jesus here, but not Deep. A-Train told Homelander the plan of taking him out, and that's what led to Annie's ex's death. So that's where I'm very confused. And that was one of my cons last year, where they tried to do this with the Deep last year, where it seemed like they're trying to show him be better, and they're trying to, like, last year he kind of got sexually assaulted, right, where he didn't want the woman to touch his gills, and she was gill fucking him and all this stuff. So they're trying to get him back to be all the shit that he's done, kind of put it on him, and maybe realize, okay, I have done bad things. But near the end of the season, he's just kind of back to being an asshole, and now he's back to being an asshole, right? He's being guided a different way, but he's still an asshole. So I guess it is shades of the gray where, hey, even the asshole characters like Deep and A-Train, things might happen to him that you dislike. But I still want them to pick a lane, because eventually if A-Train, like, to me now, if A-Train next week is back to talking about social injustices and all this stuff, and he's trying to do good things, I'm not as interested, because, like, dude, you just let this other guy die. Now, here's the thing. You could have, maybe you were scared of the plan, and maybe he's just trying to get good to Homelander. So again, that's where it's like, I'm not a fan of him. If you don't want to do this, say, hey, no, that's too dangerous. I don't want to be part of your plan. You didn't have to sell the fucking guy out to Homelander. So that's where, again, it feels like the Deep, where that might be a con of mine, where they want you to maybe start feeling good about these characters, and maybe they're on the good side, but maybe not. I'd rather them just go that route than, okay, Homelander has a team and Deep and A-Train are on it and they fucking die, and I'd be completely fine with that. If they want to make them just to be like, okay, there's times they could have been good guys, but they chose a bad path, fine with me. So we'll see, but I was a little disappointed with that, because I was interested in the A-Train turning story, like trying a redemption arc, and that's kind of gone now, and the Deep's kind of gone now. So we'll see. Again, all this stuff is about follow-up, but I did see last season where it wasn't a big con, but with the Deep's follow-up, I thought that was the weakest part of the show, and they kind of couldn't decide what they wanted. And maybe it's like that in the comic books, but I still feel like even then, people always say that sometimes when we talk about book reviews, right? A book turned into a movie. I say, I don't like this. And they go, well, it happened in the book. I go, well, if I read the book, I wouldn't fucking like it there, So that's where, if it's like the comic books, then you could still change and adapt some stuff. So I think that's everything with the team. Maeve is just pretending that she's drunk and tits deep, as she said in Women, but she's just training, getting ready, stuff like that. No, I don't think there's anything else. We had the assistant girl who I absolutely love. I should be able to find her name. She should be on IMDb. But first time I saw her was in Jessica Jones, where she played just like a shit heel. Like she was just like a terrible person. But I really enjoy her. Oh, I can't find. Oh, here she is. Ashley, right? She's great. Homelander again, just taking out his frustrations on her. He says that line of like, is your brain being fucked by stupid or something like that? And then she takes that later on and says that to someone else. We get introduction to some sex toys again, which we'll talk about later. But it almost wonder like, has all the mean things Ashley's ever said to people just taken from Homelander? Could be. And yeah, I'm almost waiting for her to turn too. Like I feel like there's a chance there, but what they're setting up this season. She's very sexually active, so I'm not sure if that's going to come back to bite her. So like if there's going to be some sort of controversy, but we've seen a few episodes now where she's fucking the dude in the washer, and that's fine if she's like. I'm not saying, oh, you can't have a female sexually active, like just the men. No, it's just that I feel that maybe I'm forgetting it wasn't that way last 2 seasons. So either they just want to use the actress more, which is fine because I like the actress, or there's something leading to it. I don't know. So we'll see. I'm down for either one. If it's just they want this character to get banged, great. It's just a question of, okay, is she getting banged so much for a reason right now? We'll see. Let's take one more ad break, and then we're going to talk about The Boys. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So I don't know why in the video version I turned away, like you wouldn't see me, but I literally just turned away for an ad break, But looking at nothing. Look at that title over there. Look at that. Still GeekVerse.ca champion. Gonna be defending that in November. Gonna win it. Got big plans. Plans for the extra live stream. Just you wait. So The Boys, right? So we got a few storylines going on here. Frenchie and Kamiko, they want to get out of there. That's what they've decided because they're looking for the weapon. Butcher has a contact. They got to do a job for him before they get the information. Okay, great. Well, the plan is this job is they got to kill some sort of mobster or some rich guy. Kamiko's going to go in there as like a call girl. And the boys, Butcher has just made up this plan, not talking to Kamiko or Frenchie at all. So you're going to be pretending to be a prostitute and you're going to kill him. She does do that. We get a scene of he opens up this cabinet, this rich man, and there's a bunch of dildos and sex toys. There's like a Starlight vibrator that lights up. You got a Homelander dildo or stuff like that, which that's the thing that Ashley brought up later. And I do wonder if that's it, because last week when he had she told him about the numbers and he got excited and had the heart on, she kind of looked like, oh, like she's had no interest. But it is interesting the fact that she took those lines from Homelander, and then she also has a Homelander dildo. If there's any if she has some sort of attraction to Homelander. And I wouldn't mind them going that route of Homelander having this kind of Stormfront. Stormfront was on his level. You had the woman, I can't remember who was the leader of Vault. That was his mother or whatever. She was clearly leading him. If she was this kind of, almost Harley Quinn, not fangirl, but just he could just use her. There's some story to do there, and I think whether that's her kind of turning on people or getting some information, we'll see. But I just wonder if there's any correlation to her using that specific sex toy. But we get a scene where this rich guy and the guards get killed by all these sex toys. Kamiko takes these dildos, cuts her throat with them, shoves them through the eye. Only stuff that the boys can do. So all good stuff, all fun stuff. But before this kind of inspires the whole combination of this, that French and Kamiko want to get out of here. And that's never good, right? When you have a character being like, let's get out of here. We can have a new life. It's not going to go well. So they talk about this. They find Soldier Boy. And we'll talk about more of the dynamics again there. They find Soldier Boy, or what they think is the weapon. They open it up. Soldier Boy goes to kill Frenchie or blast Frenchie. Kamiko pushes him out of the way. She gets the hit. She's bleeding, torn apart, got metal in her. But of course, as they just established, again, to remind you of probably 20 minutes ago in the episode, she got shot a bunch, everything, but she can heal. She's fine. This time she's not healing. This time she's on death's door and they're working on her in the van and everything like that. So that's where I don't know what that explosion in the past was Soldier Boy. If that was I think it was just Soldier Boy exploding or something like that. But now it seems like I'm not sure if that was always his power or this is what's done, because like I said, Butcher said that they've kind of Winter Soldiered him a bit, that they've made him he always had a dark side, but he's not as bad as that. At the same time, I just thought the guy got out and he's confused and these could be threats. So I don't know what they're going on with there, but they'll explain that all next week. I think it's going to be a very Soldier Boy heavy episode. So if that is his power, or if it's his enhanced power where he can kind of take out other Soups' powers, obviously that would be great for Homelander, because if you take away his powers, I don't think he's a great fighter. He's not like Maeve or something. He's just been on brute strength and the powers. So obviously that's going to happen. It's just a question of, does that happen and Soldier Boy's worse? Does that happen or does it not happen and him and Soldier Boy team up? There's lots of bad things that could happen with, Soldier Boy here. So we'll see. Again, not too much. We saw some flashbacks in this episode, just him doing some kind of promotional stuff. Marv had a flashback of seeing him kind of like his, I think, hero, but he looked a little mad to see him at the same time. So we'll see. The biggest thing I'd say with Butcher and Huey, their dynamic was Huey finds out that Butcher is taking Compound V or whatever it's called, like V, the 24-hour drug, and he wants some because he just had that experience with Homelander and Annie, and he wants to have some sort of power to protect her, to protect himself. And Butcher's just like, no, this isn't a gift, it's a punishment. You don't deserve to be punished. And he's like, you do. So that's happening. Butcher takes it just in case to get to this weapon. They do end up needing it. He goes through, he's impervious to bullets and all this stuff. And then another point is Huey gets in the battle, looking bad for him, but then his arm's healed. He punches a guy Mortal Kombat style, like through the heart. It's revealed he also, as Butcher said, nickered my V and took some against his will. But what I liked about it is Butcher kind of was like he was annoyed that it happened, but it wasn't a big thing. I hope next episode's not a big thing, but it was just, you son of a bitch, I told you not to. Well, you did it. Let's move on. We both got powers for now. Let's figure it out. And that's where the team's really falling apart because this happens. So they've both taken this. I think they're both going to get addicted, especially at the end of this episode. Huey's like looking at his arm and he's like very just like his arm healed and he just punched a guy through. He's just like in love with it, right? So I think him and Butcher are going to have some problems, if not both of them, one of them. And the other thing is, so they get back to the van. And that's what this whole episode's leading up towards, is getting a Soldier Boy and everything like that. But they're at the van. They're working on Kamiko. Frenchie's distraught because Kamiko like has almost had no pulse. They got IV bag. Like they're working on her. Him and Marv are working on her. Huey's just in the front fucking just tweaking out on this drug. And all Butcher can do is talk about what happened there. Like, why do you think Soldier Boy the way he is? And what he talked about Marv earlier is, hey, because Marv's going to question some of his decisions. And he's like, you know why I needed you here? Because you're the fucking glue that keeps this whole team together. And then at this moment, Marv says there's no team to keep together because it's just showing that, one, Huey's in La La Land and he's no help. Frenchie's about to lose somebody that he obviously cares about. And Butcher, again, he's always been to the point where there's the mission and there's the people. But we have seen before that there's a line where he's going to try and save his people because Kamiko's a soups. It's never like she's fully his people. But still, it's someone that's close with Frenchie. And it just feels like he cares about the mission. He just doesn't care about what's happening with Frenchie or her. And it shows he's gone. And at the same point later on, early on, when they got briefed on the mission of, hey, Kamiko, you're going to go undercover, do this thing. She took the phone out and texted, I'm not your fucking gun. And he's just like, you're going to be whatever I fucking want you to be. Me and Taylor talked about this last season. The parallels between Butcher and Homelander are there. They started a lot last season, but if you don't see them now, I'm not trying to be rude, rewatch the fucking episode. You literally have both of them in the same episode telling their teams, this is the way it's going to be, whether you fucking like it or not. And if your life's on the line, too bad. I got to get this job done. Homelander's just to get more power. Butcher's to kill Homelander. But it's that thing of you either, die here or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And it's like, to stop Homelander, he has to be like Homelander. But they've not really thought about that yet. I think they've alluded to it a few times, but I think at some point that will click in the show of, I'm being just as bad as what I'm trying to hunt and I got to figure it out. And, yeah, it's not looking good. Butcher's just going off the deep end too. He's being rude to everybody. He's he just wants to kill Homelander. He wants to kill, because his whole thing is, again, he shit on the kid last week, but he wants to try and keep Ryan safe. And there's no way that's going to happen because one day Homelander's just going to find him and fly there and take him out, So Butcher always remains, like, Carl Urban's great in this episode, and he always remains a very interesting character too, because I love that dynamic of he's trying to do good, but it's that Dexter thing I've always said before that I love, right? Is Dexter a bad guy doing good things or a good guy doing bad things? And I do think Butcher is a good guy doing bad things. Problem is, it's just escalating, and eventually you don't want to get to the point of being a bad guy and with the powers. And I do wonder if him and Hugh are going to fight eventually with those powers, if they're going to argue and have an actual fight. As long as none of them die, I'm cool with that. So That is episode 4 of The Boys. Again, another 2 thumbs up. I have some questions, but all my questions are about follow-ups. Like, okay, at the end of the season, let's see. Retroactively, I can talk about and be like, okay, maybe the A-Train stuff was a little mishandled. Maybe the Deep's still just around. It was great to see Black Noir doing some drawings and stuff like that. Still want to learn more. I'm excited to see him and Soldier Boy reunite and see if they kind of have like a rapport. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I'll be back next week. Taylor will be on for sure, and then Jessica maybe. But either way, we're going to have a fun time talking about The Boys. Let me know in our Discord, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook what you thought. If you think about my theories, again, if you've read the comics, don't let me know about anything that's going to happen. If you want to refer to something that's happened in the past that they've covered, like let's say the way they found Soldier Boy was like a little bit different in the comics, you can tell me that. That's fine. I just don't want any of these future spoilers because, I got enough spoilers and other stuff. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning this review. And I promise when you hear from me next week, it'll not be boring.